Hey everybody, this is Ted Compagna from the Fayetteville Church, and welcome to another installment of Military Mondays. And so this week we're very fortunate to have as our guests Mario and Andrea Green. And so both of them are in the military here at Fort Bragg. They're also amazing disciples of Christ. They've been with us here for several months, and so we're just super glad to have you with us. So thanks for being with us. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourselves in the sense of how you became Christians, how you became married, and how you got here to Fort Bragg.
Okay, I'll start. So we so we both joined the military in 2010. We met in AIT because of our job, our MOS, our job we had. We met in that school. Then we got together in 2011. We got pregnant in 2011 and got married in 2011.
Things moving kind of quick, huh?
Quickly, yes. I was reached out by a sister named Claire Sidebottom. She reached out to me. We was actually at an appointment. She was there for her son's physical, and I was there doing that nasty glucose test. And she reached out to me, shared her faith, and then that following Sunday, I went to the church, Hampton Roads Peninsula side, and then I started studying. And in November 8th, I got baptized. I was pregnant, and then a week later, I had our daughter Natalie. So,
wow,
yeah.
That's awesome. Mario, how about you?
Well, I'll start where she finished. I later, once I came back from deployment, started studying on and off for about 6 months, and it was rough. It was pretty rough because we had, discrepancies, arguments of, why is it taking you so long, and what are you waiting for? But it didn't hit me or dawn on me until, like that last week. I was just waiting. I was trying to, why am I waiting? What am I waiting on? And then it clicked. It was like, well, you're waiting to make sure you're doing this not for your wife or for anybody else, but you're doing it for yourself. And you know what's right, the right thing to do, because I've heard stories about disciples getting discipled because of their spouse or because of another man or another woman, and then they fall away and the disciple falls away. So I did not want that to happen to me. So it was pretty rough, but we made it through. We're here now.
So you took the time though to get your convictions.
I did. So it was like I don't know how to say it. It's like I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't want to do it too soon. So.
Isn't it amazing how God is always teaching us?
Yes.
Patience or perseverance or mercy,
Yes.
As we try to work through our differences as married couples. So the two of you then have been disciples for a while.
Yes.
And you've been in the military for a while.
Yes.
So you have a lot in common in the sense that, you have a very similar career path in the military. You're both in the transportation corps.
Same exact.
Same exact.
Wow. How does that work? I mean, the fact that you do something very similar, does that make things easier in the sense of, you speak the same language, or can it cause some I don't know, bumping of heads?
Both.
Yeah, both.
Both.
Yeah.
It makes it easier because if I don't understand something or if he don't understand something, we can come talk to each other about it. And then it makes it harder too, is because we can be presented with the same thing but look at it completely different. And we sit down to have conversations about it, but we do have a rule. We try to not break this rule that work stay at work and home is home.
Yeah, that's a good rule.
Because it's not fair to our kids. If you really think about it, our kids throughout the week only see us, Major go to bed around 8:30. So he only sees us like two and a half hours before he go to bed. And then our daughter probably sees us 3.5 hours before she go to bed. And that's Monday through Thursday. And then Friday, of course, the weekend. So it's not fair for us to be focusing on work and bringing work home. They have that limited amount of time with us. So,
yeah. I've always thought that the military is a great job, but it makes a terrible God. And yet it wants to be your God. It wants to be your master. So how have you done it in the sense of you've got kids, both demanding jobs. how have you kept God first, and how have you raised your kids in an environment where obviously the military has high expectations of you? Mario, I'd love to hear that from you first,
Whew.
and then I know that's a tough one. That's why I picked you first, to give Andrea time to think.
Let's see. Well, I mean, it sounds weird, but the easiest way to keep God first is to keep God first. So whether it's remembering why you're doing what you're doing, because everybody joined for a different reason. Everybody does things differently for whatever reason they choose. But we just try to make sure that we know where the line is as far as military. Because military people, they're not saints. I'll say they're not of God, but there are people in the service that they are, and it makes it harder because you hear cussing, you hear the conversations, you hear a lot of stuff that goes against what you may believe in, and just making sure that you have a clear heart, a clear head.
That makes a lot of sense. I love what you said. To keep God first, you got to keep God first.
Right.
I mean, and that's a daily thing. And so I appreciate that a lot. Andrea, how about you?
Prayer. Prayer. There are times where I be at work and I'm doing something, I'm praying in my mind. Like I could be working, doing something, and something happened, and I'll just be praying. Even though I'm working, I'm still taking that time, like just pray to God, because like Mario said, you are around other individuals that don't have the same beliefs that you, or don't view the same way as you do and everything, but we still have to be mindful of, we still have to be loving. And I know when you think of military and loving, that normally don't mix. But in reality, you still have to remain loving, because that's what God called us to be, is loving.
When I was in the military, we talked a lot about leading by example. I imagine they still talk a lot about that in the military.
Yes.
So do you all feel like that has helped you in your spiritual walk as well? Just this idea of setting a good example in the workplace, setting a good example for your soldiers, in the home, setting a good example for your kids. Do you find that principle is at work in your life?
Yes, it is. I take lead by example very important, just because of the fact of people watching you, and you want to ensure that you being that example they need in life. You want to ensure that even be the example that God calls us to be, because I don't want to be known as Sergeant First Class Green, the hypocrite. I don't want to be known as that. I don't want to be known as, oh, you say this and this about God, but you're doing X, Y, and Z. Because I don't want to be going against God's word. Am I perfect? No. I have my shortfalls. I do. That's when I get a call a sister, talk to my hubby or whatever, to just talk through and all that stuff. But it's because they watch you. Soldiers, I'm talking about, watch you like a hawk. Any little thing you do, they see it. And it's crazy, just like social media. Like TikTok. One of my soldiers, I'm not even friends with them on TikTok, but my TikTok came across their TikTok, and they brought it to me at work, like, oh, sorry, I saw you on TikTok. So I'm like, okay, regardless of what you're doing, you have to be able to be leading by that example.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So it's funny because you said soldiers watch us like a hawk.
Yes.
Our kids watch us like a hawk.
Yes.
Soak it up.
Yeah. So what do you think you've learned in the military that applies to being disciples of Christ? Have you learned anything in the military that's actually made it easier to be a follower of Christ? Obedience.
Like following the regulations, the standards and discipline and everything. It makes it easier because of you. I don't want to be, oh, I can follow these standards and regulations that the military has given me, but I can't follow what God has told me directly to do. And so I wanted to ensure that I'm not putting the military above God. And I've noticed in my walk of life, I have put the military before God, my husband before God, but God has his funny way of bringing it back, like, hey, hold on, what's going on here? Bringing it back to show, like, hey, him being priority. So, yes, obedience is